Well, hello, everybody. Happy Sunday. It is the day after the Lake Martin 50 for me. Well, things don't go as planned. And every race is different, no matter what happens. The year before, every race is different. And that's kind of the blessing of trail running. So, anyway, the weather was beautiful out. It was a little bit hotter than I was planning. It was closer to 70 instead of 60. And I've done a few training runs in some heat, but heat's relative. Seeing how it's only been in the low 60s this week. Um, Trying to get ready for this race and be ready for that. Anyway, the race started out. I went short sleeve shirt, um, and it was pretty good. It wasn't hot. Started off hot, as meaning fast as usual. Cut that first mile in 13 minutes, which was like 2 minutes faster than what I wanted to do. But it's mostly downhill, so don't want to waste those downhill runs. We clipped right along, met some good folks as usual, chit chatting. Got to the Heavenly Hill aid station. I decided to not do a drop bag. Just left all my stuff at the truck where I started. I grabbed a little bit of nutrition there. I was drinking my hoist the way through. Ate a PB&J Uncrustables as I was going. Ate a Kit Kat, and then went back to my junk food days of cookies when I hit the aid station. And they seemed to sustain me pretty well. Did the out and back. That part kind of sucks a little bit because the last half of that out and back to Heavenly Hill, it's a little over 5 miles. It's this road, and dear goodness, it's like an old logging road, and I guess I've been doing some work because it was hard as concrete, and my heels and my back were just like screaming. Um, and the hills were pretty steep, up and down, up and down. Some were runnable, some definitely not. So I ran where I could, walked where I had to, trying to conserve my energy because I knew I had to do 2 loops here. So we get back to Heavenly Hill aid station, fuel up again, take a potty break because I had a portlet there. Lay down on the ground, stretch my back out because my back was really tight from that stupid road. Amy was with me, so we took off again. Um, so far up to that point, our goals were matching up, so we just kind of stuck together. I think she was shooting for less than 16 hours as well. She's training for her first 100. But anyhow, we take back off. Um, it's 5 miles or so to the back to the cabin aid station. This was the trail, the Pony Express trail that wore my ankle out the year before. I got back through that. Sadly, they'd had some, I don't know, they're just clear cutting stuff, so there wasn't a whole lot of shade like there usually was going through those woods. Um, Got back to Heavenly Hill, was feeling pretty good. My lower back was really hurting, and I try not to take any medicine, but I popped a couple Advil to try to get my back to loosen up, put some Biofreeze on it because it was just starting to give me issues. My feet were fine, legs are fine, quads are fine, hams. I mean, I could not have asked to feel better at that point. Um, I was getting a little warm, um, so I was drinking those hoist, and I must have pounded 4 of those in the first 18 miles. Um, it was going pretty good, I thought. So we go out for this 5.5 out on Turtleback, and it's pretty hilly. Kind of sucks a little bit. We got out there, and it really had been clear cut, so there was not much shade at all. And I can just feel my temperature rising up. So we're getting there. It's between 1 and 2 o'clock. So I knew when the heat of the day happens, I need to back off because I've already had heat issues before. But you know me, I didn't. I was sticking with Amy. So we were going, and I tried to walk it back into the aid station at the end of that, hitting the 25-mile point, try to cool off, get my heart rate where I needed to be so I can consume some fuel. And because I knew the 25-mile aid station break for me was going to be a long one because that's where I was going to change out a bunch of stuff. So I'd been thinking about the whole race. I decided not to swap shoes out, but I did swap my socks, re-lubed my feet up with some salty britches. Decided to put my compression sleeves on my calves. Um, Put my gaiters back on. Kept my Lone Peaks. Um, I grabbed my Kagala Light because I knew it'd be dark before I got back there. Grabbed my trekking poles just because I thought I might need them or I might want them, but I hadn't run with poles in so long it was awkward. Um, but anyway, so Amy took off before me because she didn't expect to be standing around that long for me to gear up all my junk because I changed from my waist vest. My Carl Metzger had this vest, I liked it, or this waist belt, so kind of a more minimalist thing. And I enjoyed it for the most part. Maybe that was why my lower back was hurting a little bit too. I don't know. So I went back to my vest, my Nathan vest, but I had to swap over all my fluids, all my other stuff that I had, which wasn't a whole lot, but they did take a minute. I put all that on. I swapped out my short sleeve shirt for a long sleeve tech shirt that was white to help reflect off the heat. And then underneath that, I had my base layer, short sleeve exoskin. Put on my exoskin underwear type stuff, and put my rabbit shorts back over the top of that because I knew chafing was going to start to be an issue because it was really friggin' hot and I was really sweating. Um, Things seemed fine at that point. Took off running again. Caught back up with Amy. We make it down the hill. And as soon as we turned into the woods, I could just feel my temperature going up. And so I stopped at the first creek I could, whipped out my bandana, threw it in the water, wrung it over my old bald head. I put some sunblock on too because it was pretty sunny out and not a lot of coverage. Took it back off again. Um, but once I put that water on me, it was like fire going down my back. So I knew I was already overheated, which is not a good thing for me because I had a little bit of heat stroke a few years back, about 5 years ago, and my doc said every time you get that, you're going to be a little more susceptible to that, so pay attention. So I knew that I was borderline in trouble, so I slowed down. Every creek I came to, I was putting water on my head, trying to cool off. Um, every couple of minutes, I was taking a sip of my electrolytes. Um, my electrolytes were not the problem. I slammed well overheated. I got to mile. Well, I ended up doing 29 miles roughly, 28.94 miles per Strava before I called it quits. Started getting dizzy, lightheaded. It was not good. I found a place to sit down. I texted Amy, told her to keep pressing on because she was up a little ways from me. And unfortunately for me, I was disoriented to the point where I had tunnel vision, wasn't paying attention. I sat down on a tree in the middle of the sunlight. And this kind gentleman, loved the running community, trail community. He came up and he sat down with me and he started talking to me, trying to make sure I was okay. I appreciate that guy. I should have got his name, but if I'd got it, I probably would have remembered it anyway because I was not all there. He says, "You need to get up. You need to get into some shade and sit down, not sit in the sunlight." And I said, "Roger that." So he took off. About a minute later, I got up. I took off after him. Got down to the bottom of the hill. It was probably another quarter of a mile, and there was a creek. There's a creek there, but it was down a bank. And I said, I couldn't walk down the bank because I wasn't sure I'd get back up. So I laid down on this bench, took all my gear off, kept drinking, and poured some of my water from my flask on my head, trying to cool off. I just could not get cool. I feel my heart racing up and down. Was still dizzy, and then I started contemplating how I'm getting out of here because I am halfway. I'm at the 4 mile point of the 8 mile loop. There's a road right here that I'm standing next to, but I'm not a complete dummy. When you leave the race course, you are on your own. So if I thought about trekking up that road because I thought I knew where I was at. But the second you do that, something happens to you that no one knows where you're at because you're not on the trail. So at least I had enough cognitive ability at that point to not be stupid. So I just sat there, and then I heard something. I look over, and there was this dude, not the dude that was helping me, but another dude that passed me a little while earlier. And I was like, ah, well, I didn't realize the trail looped back on itself. I said, well, Amy will be coming back by here in a second. So I'm laying there, and Amy blows her whistle at me, her distress whistle, I guess. And I rolled over. I said, "What, you trying to see if I was dead so you didn't walk up on a dead dude?" So anyway, she was still struggling, but feeling good enough to keep pressing on. So she pressed on. Good for her. Um, as we were talking, she goes, "Well, the Adams trailhead's right up here, about a mile, mile and a half," she said. And I guess my faculties had come back to me because I looked over and there was a huge sign. It was probably a 15 by 15 big sign. It says Adams Adams Trailhead, half a mile away. I was like, well, it's just a half a mile. Didn't see it when I walked up. I guess because I had the tunnel vision. So um, she took back off. Um, I geared back up, and I was really nauseated at this point. Um, and the sad thing was is my legs felt great. My legs felt great. I mean, that's the best I felt running at that point in a race at 29 miles, what, 28 and a half. And I was just like, I was so PO'd, man. I was ticked that I didn't manage my heat. And because of that stupidity, I had to come out of this race. So I was going up that hill, and I was still contemplating maybe I should just lay down for an hour up here underneath the shade and let everything settle back out and get after it again. Um, but something told me, nah, that doesn't sound like a wise move. So the old guy that sat and talked with me when he got to the trailhead, he told some folks up there, hey, there's a guy back there. If you don't see him about 20, 30 minutes, go get him because he doesn't look good. So when I come up the trailhead, here comes this guy down. His name was Adam's Gap. Um, anyway, and he was like, "Are you feeling all right?" And anyway, his runner was coming through, who was a lady who actually I met before, and right now the name escapes me. It's a friend of Amy, and she ran Mount Cheehaw. Nice lady. She was getting after it. She was doing great and going for a 100-mile run. And her whole family was there to support her. Her mom and dad, her brother, his family, and then Adam and their family. But anyway, I helped them pack up a little bit. They were like, "You sure? Because you don't look so good." So helped them pack up a little bit, and they gave me a ride. I called it right there. I gave me a ride back to the start finish. So I went to my truck, dropped my stuff off, went and saw Aaron Jameson, so he could put his hands on me. He's a medic that's there because I knew how to drive home. I wanted to make sure I hadn't crossed over into any bad areas. So he checked my pulse. My pulse was pretty high. It had been like 30, 45 minutes since I was running. So he told me to go suck down a hamburger and a Coke or something and sit there for 30 minutes, then come back. I did that, came back over. My heart rate was back to normal again. He said my color had come back. My pupils weren't dilated. Everything looked good. But he did drop a little ditty on me. He says, "Has this happened to you before?" I said, "Well, I got heat stroke probably about 5 years ago." He says, "No, I'm talking about your overheating and then your electrolytes." And I was like, "No." He says, "Sometimes when males, when they get over 46, 47 years old up to the early 50s, their body composition changes and you don't consume or do your electrolytes like you did as a younger guy." And he goes, "This happened to me at 52." And I said, "Well, I'm almost 52." He says, "Yeah, you need to go back and rethink how you do your electrolytes because even with the heat, if you did your electrolytes, you might have been able to mitigate this a little bit differently." I said, "Okay, well, I'll think about that." Um, but he said it was a smart move to pull myself off the course at that point because it was only going to go downhill from there. Once you go over that overheating threshold, there's no coming back. You're just kind of done. So I love Aaron. He's a great guy. He's the guy that packaged me up during the 100 mile when I did my 100 miles last year to keep my feet going with all those blisters. But anyway, so I walked up to the aid station and I turned in my Hue tag, which is what David and Mary Jo used to count the laps and stuff. God bless Mary Jo. What a sweet lady. She walks up and she goes, "So you done?" Or she goes, you just finished." And I said, "No." She goes, "You're done." I said, "No, I'm finished." She goes, "Let me get you a medal." And I said, "No, honey." I said, I didn't earn a medal today." And she goes, "Well, how many miles did you do?" I said, "I did 28." Well, actually, almost 29 now, but at that point, I think it was 28. And she goes, "Oh, well, you can get the 27-mile fun run medal." And I was like, "No, y'all did that to me last year." I said, "I came for the 50. I didn't get the 50. I said, you're going to put me down for DNF. I didn't come here for no bling. I came here to get the 50, and I didn't get the 50, so I have to come back." And I said, "That's okay. That'd be motivation." But she's such a sweet lady. But I appreciate her for that. She wants to everybody have a great experience, and for the most part, I did. So I really appreciate her and David. But anyhow, I trudged back over to my truck, loaded my junk up, texted Amy. She said just put her stuff in her chair. And I loaded up the truck and I came on home. So I just sit in that Epsom salt bath. My legs feel great today. I mean, I actually thought on the way home from church this morning, I said, I think I'm going to go run 5. But I thought better of it. I said, I probably shouldn't because I am still feeling a little weak, but the legs feel great. And that's what makes me so daggone mad. Uh, but anyway, the Lord's taking care of me. I've got my Air Force PT test here next weekend. I don't really train for speed, so I've been doing my 100 push-ups, 100 sit-ups a day for a while now. So I'm ready for that aspect of it. I have no question I'm gonna pass this PT test easy peasy. But you never know. Maybe I'll tear a muscle or something. Good Lord. But I don't know. A little down and dejected that I didn't take care of business, and it was my fault for the most part. Um, but happy that I'm not broken, and I will race another day. But anyway, that's a little longer than I thought it was going to be. But anyhow, this is mostly for me. If anybody watches this, I'm just trying to put all my mental notes down, so I'll watch this again next year before I do this race, or before I do my next race, which I'm not sure what that's going to be. I might do another 50 here before summer starts, the Chief Ladiga race with Caleb Kilpatrick, but I'm still contemplating that. I got to do a lot of running between now and then to try to get my electrolytes dialed in to see how I'm going to do that, because I really hate taking pills and crap like that during a race, like salt pills and stuff. But anyway, somebody's got something out there that can help me. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed this with Leighton Martin. Beautiful course, great people, great race director. Y'all take care, have a happy Sunday, and we'll talk at y'all later.